Both beneficial and deleterious clinical outcomes have been reported with use of corticosteroids in patients with pulmonary infection. In outbreaks of previous novel coronavirus infection, that is MERS and SARS, corticosteroid therapy was associated with delayed virus clearance. However, corticosteroids have become center of treatment in critical COVID-19 patients. So to discuss all this, I have Dr. Arindam Kar with me. Dr. Kar is consultant intensivist at Achan Reliance Hospital, Mumbai. He is General Secretary of Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine. Dr. Kar, welcome to podcast ISCCM.
Thank you, Dr. Bharat. Thanks for having me.
So my first question to you is, can you please tell us how steroids became center of treatment for COVID-19 patients?
So if you see the pathophysiology of COVID itself, which got a very close resemble with the sepsis or any other infective pathology of lungs itself. So there is a component of immune dysregulation followed by an invading organism. So definitely by default, steroid would have an influence on the control of the pathophysiological or the immune dysregulation that would be happening. So the first, meta-analysis which came in early 2020, which included not only the COVID itself, but also the other coronavirus related like SARS, MERS, etc., as well as influenza, they very clearly showed that the steroid has a positive outcome on COVID related immune dysregulation or lung infection. So that was the beginning, and then followed by, we all know, the recovery trial very unequivocally showed that there is a good influence or a positive influence on the outcome of COVID itself. And then also the REACT working group, right? It also showed a good outcome in the comorbidity or on a critically ill patients with comorbidities. The steroid work well in that group too.
So very nicely summarized the first point. But the difficult question is, Dr. Kar, how to time it, when we should be using the steroids? What is your take on that?
If you understand the overall timeline of the disease itself, in the first week, it's more of the viral replication. So there is no point of using steroid at that phase, because that would create an uninhibited viral replication and more severe disease process. So definitely not in the first week. But in certain subset of patients, what happens at the end of second week, when the cytokine storm or immune dysregulation is way beyond the capacity and it's damaging the lung itself, lung tissue itself, and the initiation of ARDS is happening, that collides with the clinical presentation of hypoxia and requirement of oxygen itself. So in that sort of subset of patient groups, and during that period, in and around 7 days, with the advent of the ARDS, I think that is the time when we should initiate the steroid itself. So to summarize, if you say the patients who are requiring oxygen at the end of the first week, when you are diagnosing ARDS, right, in view of your PF ratio or in view of your CT's imaging and all others, right, that is the best time to initiate ARDS. And in terms of numbers, not before the 7 day, within the first 48 to 72 hours of the diagnosis of ARDS itself. And off note, that you should not be again initiating after 14 days, because then it's more of a fibrotic phase. So between 7 to 14 days, within first 72 hours of diagnosis of ARDS, and only in patients who is requiring oxygen in due to the advent of hypoxia itself. In other patients, even after 7 days, when there is no oxygen requirement, no steroid has to be given.
Yeah, very nicely summarized. This question needs to be answered further in the clearer studies, but as of now, as you said, somewhere around 5 to 14 days, and once we see the improvement, we can abruptly stop it. So any relation of steroids and mucor, because mucor is coming up now, it was not there in the first wave, now it's there in the second wave. So any relation to the steroids, or is just the disease taking its own course?
It's clinically, if you see it is quite obvious that if you are using higher dose and prolonged steroids, your glycemic control would be haywire, and both your immune dysfunction created by the steroid itself, or immune suppression created by the steroid itself, as well as a poor glycemic control, will predispose for any of the infection, particularly fungal infection. But why there was so much of incidence of mucor in certain 2 months of the second wave? I think that answer, even the best of the mycologists failed to answer it, whether it's only steroid or any other hidden factors were there. But obviously, if you are using steroids, and if you are now very particular about the glycemic control, so be it using your the sliding scales, adding a long acting insulin, or some people are also adding a combination of metformin and a longer acting insulin to have a much better control and lesser variability of the glycemic control. I think when we became aware of that part, that we have to have a very good glycemic control along with the steroids, and not too much of steroid, not too long. If you see, Dr. Bharat, the incidences of mucor has also come down. So I think we didn't know that what created it, but maybe a little better good clinical practice has reduced its incidence.
Yeah, very nicely summarized. I think it's a combination of all the things rather than just steroids doing it. And as you said, we have to be judicious in the dose as well as the timing. Thank you, Dr. Kar. Thanks for being with us and answering all these difficult questions. As always, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That's all for today. ICCM Podcast is production of Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. See you again.